Yeah, the whole thing is a series of red flags.
They were the day shift, we were the night shift. That's how we looked at it.
Because I knew there was a huge fan base for the book, and so obviously there's that added pressure.
It was so good.
Smooth.
Hi, I'm Shannon from iHeartRadio Canada. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Dorian and Karla. How are you guys doing?
Very well.
Very well,
What's
thank you.
yourself?
I'm doing great. I just watched the show, so fresh off everything that happened, which is an insane whirlwind. Playing characters that have so many layers and wear so many masks. I want to know what kind of preparation did you have to get into in order to prepare for all of this?
Well, I think that like one of the most exciting things for me about Oliver specifically was being able to play somebody who is holding all these sort of deceit in these sort of versions of himself, and rather than like playing the sort of the plot points of that, it's interesting to me to like sort of play someone's psyche as it frays, trying to keep all those lies together and deceit together and versions of himself, and like sort of losing himself and sort of what that does to a person, like the amount of stress that causes a person. That was the most interesting thing for me.
Yeah, what about you, Deb?
I think for the character prep, I was reading the book, working a lot with our first director, Alethea, and we had a lot of discussions about complicated characters being led by one or two things, either love or fear, and what is motivating the action. And even though that's a very sort of like basic, motivator for a lot of characters in a lot of film and TV, I think what was especially like the reason that really resonated with me for this project in particular is because she makes a lot of questionable choices. And it's like what they say about authors when you're writing a complex character that may end up looking, the audience may see them as maybe not the good guy or something in between. As the writer, you always have to narrate them with love and with empathy and recognition as though they are not, a trope. And so I really was interested in making Ciara somebody that I could empathize with. And so like infusing a lot of those more complex moments with a sort of a background of love, which is what I think makes her more intriguing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I did feel like when watching, there are maybe like a lot of red flags that each character kind of chooses to ignore in the other person.
Yeah, the whole thing is a series of red flags.
Yeah, absolutely. What's a red flag from the show that you feel like would be just impossible to ignore in a real life situation?
Oh my God.
I mean, every single one of them. I think everything, the first couple of episodes, basically everything Oliver does.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single thing that Oliver does that doesn't seem like a complete red flag. And I think you understand as the show goes on where that's coming from. And
Yeah.
I think we do a really good job, I think, of making those red flags maybe seem beige or straight. Like they all, you know what I mean? They all end up having sort of like reasons for his way of acting that way. But yeah, they're pretty bad off the top. You know what I mean?
I actually, I'm trying to think back to the very first episode, but I know one early on in the series that for me, I'd be like,
Yeah, done.
is in the morning when she's like, I'm gonna go get the subway, and he's like standing in her way. I'd be like, SOS. Immediately and text all my girlfriends and be like, oh my, come pick me up.
I need to
Like,
get up out of here.
yeah, I'd be out in public. Like, yeah, immediately.
Yeah, that's totally fair. How was the experience for both of you? Also with any sort of like added pressure that might come from a book to screen adaptation?
Because I knew there was a huge fan base for the book. And so obviously there's that added pressure of you wanting to service, the material in that way. And then also I was brought on like weeks before we were starting to shoot. So for me, it was like just jumping in and just getting into the material and all of that, and then moving my whole family to Canada. And it was just a lot of moving parts. And so there was all that pressure for sure.
That's a lot. What about you, Dorian?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I read the book, and there's two things that can happen when you read the material that the piece is based on. You can either be like, oh God, I'm never gonna be able to do this, or you can say, oh, I kind of know how I'm gonna approach this. And I was a little bit in the middle there because I knew it was such a big hit that there are people who have in their minds like who they think Carl should be, or people who are fantasy casting probably in some place in the world, and I had to just erase that from my mind. So that was like the biggest pressure, was just like allow myself to find out who this guy is and be this guy genuinely without worrying about what other people might think or want, and that's an interesting challenge, but it made it fun.
Obviously, the fans of the book are so excited for the show. Fans of both of you are so excited for the show. And what I love so much about your fans is that a lot of them have been fans of yours for the majority of their lives. Do you recall when you two first became familiar with each other and each other's work?
I think I just knew someone's laughing back
I don't
there
know
'cause I'm both
anything.
I don't know.
Your name, what was your name?
Yeah, exactly. Raven. I think that
When did I become familiar with you?
I think I knew of you because I
Well,
mean the
we
thing
ran in the same circles,
is,
basically.
Nickelodeon don't really ever intersect though.
No.
Like, did you ever feel that way when we were kids? It was
No.
like sharks and jets. Like it was
No,
like you
no.
guys are over there and we're over here. I
No.
feel like we didn't really I didn't know much about Nickelodeon. I knew of you because I knew Ariana.
Sure. I think that may have been the connective tissue a little bit was
Yeah.
Ariana. But then
We'd never met or anything
we'd
like
never
that.
met.
No.
But I don't leave my house, so like,
And I also don't leave my house, so that's two of us.
yeah.
Yeah, was there challenges that came with shooting your part of the show, knowing that it's really half of the show and that it's going to go in between your story and the other story?
I find it so bizarre that I didn't ever, have a scene with Dove or Avan and that they would almost disappear as we arrived. And then we'd hear about like, oh, they just had a really hard scene or a hard couple of days. And then here we would come. And so there was this dance, but I think it actually helped us have some breaks for both parts, where we were able to just kind of take a minute, decompress. Some shows you're just like in at one scene after another, a day after another, and this was good because we had some pauses when they had their stuff going on. So I kind of loved that personally.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun. Like they were the day shift, we were the night shift.
Yeah.
That's how we looked at it. It was like, it was like we're ships passing in the night. Sometimes I'd see them getting into the van going home, and I'd be like, "Hey guys, how was it going today? Cool, all right, well, see you at the premiere."
Yeah.
So that was that was kind of intriguing, but also like the fact that a lot of times what I would do is we'd get the scripts, we'd read them, and we as a group we'd read them together, and then I would take all of their scenes out of the script and just have our book with just our things in it. And so then it was kind of like, this is a world that's existing and we're still trying to figure out how to solve what's going on in this world, because with us having the full script, we have more of the story than Carl and Lee would have. And so it's like, just for story's sake, I needed to know what was going on, but I didn't want to commit it too much to memory. So I would take it out so that when I referred to my script, I was just referring to our scenes, and so that you would live your life the way a regular human lives their lives, which is like consumed with their own things and not really knowing what else is going on. And so I found it to be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware that you and Dove share the same birthday?
I realized that this year. Yeah.
Did you? Yeah.
I just
Right.
said you congratulations because I don't really go into social media.
Yeah.
And then who was it that said it was
Me.
Dove's too?
I did. Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute, we got the same birthday.
too, yeah.
This is the second time I've worked with someone where I had the same birthday.
Oh wow.
No way. And both milestone birthdays for you as well, because Dove turned 30, you turned 50. So how did that feel?
Wow.
I felt embarrassingly sad. I'm still dealing with it. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you for bringing it up.
I'm so sorry.
That's that.
Amazing. Well, thank you both for leaving the house today. And thank you so much for this conversation.
That was so good.
Smooth.
You're good at your job.
Thank you
That was
so
the
much.
coolest right now.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Happy belated birthday. Congrats
Thank
on
you.
the show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.
I'm going to go cry.